Is this why Macron really cancelled Charles's visit? French protesters daub "Death to the King" in red paint across Paris buildings as humiliated president pulls plug on royal visit amid rioting on streets. Protesters have daubed "Death to the King" in threatening red paint across buildings in Paris as riots against pension reforms have escalated in recent days, leading King Charles to cancel his scheduled trip to the French capital. It comes as security sources there revealed that the French feared the security of King Charles could not be guaranteed because of his interest in mingling with crowds. A humiliated Macron today asked the king to cancel his trip to France, as the president struggles to staunch nationwide rioting over his pension reforms. President Emmanuel Macron has been attacked during similar meetings, and his popularity is at an all-time low after he raised the retirement age in France from 62 to 64 without a parliamentary vote. The move has provoked 8 straight nights of rioting, with arson attacks on areas due to be visited by Charles. Now, in what appears to be a direct attack on the British monarch, protesters have daubed buildings in the French capital with graffiti reading "Mort au Roi." Pictures show one such slogan on the side of a wall, with a nearby statue covered in another aimed at the French president reading "Macron decapitation." Another was pictured on a wall outside an Irish pub in the city centre, with some rioters making it clear that as far as they were concerned, the king was not welcome in the city. And on the 9th day of rioting, more chilling graffiti directly addressed the king in English, reading "Charles III, do you know the guillotine?" Charles and Camilla, the queen consort, were due to visit France between Sunday and Wednesday before traveling to Germany. It was due to be the first state visit of the new reign and a chance to cement a new era of improved Franco-British relations after Brexit. The monarch was set to arrive in Paris with the queen consort on Sunday for the 4-day trip, with the highlight being a state banquet at Versailles on Monday. But the French president's aides feared the event could stir up revolutionaries across the Channel, given the chateau's links to the 1789 revolution and the last king of France, Louis XVI, and his wife Marie Antoinette, who were guillotined in 1793. Experts told Mail Online today that Charles III would have been determined to cross the Channel to show you cannot give in to the mob as anarchists smash and burn cities, and Paris became submerged in tons of uncollected rubbish. But Mr. Macron telephoned the monarch this morning to ask him to stay in the UK after a call to 10 Downing Street with the same advice. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams said that the symbolism of a state banquet at Versailles as France burns would have been the president's Marie Antoinette moment. He said, "The postponement of King Charles's state visit to France, the first of his reign, marks a humiliation for President Macron. The country is descending into anarchy, and it was clearly impossible to guarantee the safety of the royal party and to keep to any set schedule where security could be relied on. Threats to disrupt the visit were all too real, especially given the symbolism attached to Versailles, where a state banquet was to be held. This really was a disaster, with the palace's links to an ancien regime which was toppled by a revolution. These are too close for comfort for Macron at the moment and marks a volte-face by his government, which was insisting earlier today that it would go ahead. A total of 457 people were arrested and 441 police and security forces were injured yesterday during nationwide protests, Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said today. France has descended into political chaos since Mr. Macron forced through his plans to raise the state pension age from 62 to 64, sparking violence, crime sprees, and marches in all corners of the nation. Mr. Macron's decision to cancel the state visit is under fire at home, Eric Ciotti, leader of the Republicans Party, said. The visit of Charles III is cancelled by the government due to social unrest. What an image for our country, which is not even able to ensure the security of a head of state. Yesterday it emerged that Charles's trip was being reviewed after hardliners vowed to target the monarch's visit and even blockade him in Paris and Bordeaux. Today Mr. Macron pulled the plug, despite being determined for it to go ahead to prove he is still in charge. The decision is said to be made after talks between the French and British authorities, but security experts told Mail Online that because the French police and secret services have primacy for the security operation, it will have been their advice to call it off. The French feared the security of King Charles could not be guaranteed because of his interest in mingling with crowds, according to security sources in Paris. A Buckingham Palace spokesman said, "The King and the Queen Consort's state visit to France has been postponed. Their Majesties greatly look forward to the opportunity to visit France as soon as dates can be found." Charles and Camilla were due to travel from France to Germany for a state visit from next Wednesday to Friday, and it is understood the visit to Berlin will proceed as planned. Investigative journalist Tom Bauer told Mail Online that Macron had bowed to the left-wing mob, and Charles would have wanted to face them down for his first state visit. And Simon Morgan, a former royal protection officer who now runs the security business Trojan Consultancy, said the decision to pull the plug will have been on French advice because it is a state visit to France, not the other way around.